Good morning, everybody. Welcome into the Spotlight Omaha podcast, where we take you around the city of Omaha, introduce you to local business owners, influential figures, and people who are making an impact on our community. We are brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing. Pixel Fire Marketing is a locally owned marketing firm that specializes in website design, creating social media ads, and online advertising. If your business needs help with any of that, check out pixelfiremarketing.com today. Today, I am joined by Malia and Sean Gomez. Guys, thank you very much for being here. I'm really excited to talk about your guys' story.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah. Let's start with both of you guys. I mean, you're Sean, you're from Omaha, and Malia, you're from Council Bluffs. At what age did we start thinking about entrepreneurship and being our own boss and kind of starting this venture?
I'd say mine probably started around 13 years of age.
Okay.
Thinking like an entrepreneur.
Sure.
And what?
Me, I was just kind of along for the ride and helping them with all of our dreams and where we're at now.
16 years of marriage, 6 kids later. You guys have owned several businesses and had a ton of success. Sean, you brought this up to me off air. You didn't graduate high school, and it's something that I think a lot of people will look at as a negative. Did you ever look back at that and consider it a failure at any point?
No. I guess I graduated 8th grade. I went to 9th grade.
Sure.
And then I got my GED. But no, the only thing I probably look back at in like in a negative sense is that I didn't get to go to college and experience the life, but college life.
We've had this is episode number 50 now, and we've had several business owners in here that either didn't go to college or didn't graduate college, and a lot of them have been trade workers or what have you, and we talk about the insurmountable debt that comes with college usually, and how that could be a negative thing. It kind of feels like the culture as a whole is kind of pivoting to maybe more trade and more entrepreneurship and kind of doing things your own way. Malia, for you, when we talk about going on the ride and being supportive and being part of the business and then kind of finding this love for entrepreneurship, at what point, because there's always that fear, right? When you first start a business, there's always that fear. Man, maybe you haven't even got there. Is there a point where you go, okay, this is going to work and we're going to be able to be successful at this?
No. I think that for me, it's always just we're always so busy. We're always moving forward.
Sure.
That I don't get a chance to think about that sort of thing. It's more of just like, okay, we're doing this. And I just make it work.
And this started off with plumbing. You guys previously owned ASAP Plumbing. Sean, can you tell us about how that business started and how you decided to kind of get that off the ground?
Okay, so it actually started off with appliance repair. So I want to say I was 17, 18 years old. A gentleman came to my mother's house to fix her dryer. And I seen that he was in and out within, minutes, and he charged her quite a bit of money.
Sure.
So I asked him if he could teach me while I was going to. I had a full-time job at William H. Harvey, which down the road I'll explain more about that. But one day he called me back and he said that he could train me, but it's only going to be $20 a day, and I'd have to work.
$20 a day.
$20 a day, yeah. And I would have to work, 7 days a week.
Sure.
Which at first it kind of bothered me. I asked my mother, about it, what I was doing, and she said, "Well, think of it as you're getting paid to go to school."
Sure.
So that's how I thought of it the whole time. Well, a lot of people.
Were you surprised she was supportive?
No, my mom, she's kind of always been supportive if of anything that I was trying to do to better myself. So no, at first I was kind of, I guess, like $20 a day is okay, and she's like, yeah, just think of it a different way.
Yeah.
So and I took it like that.
The education's worth more than the monetary value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how I went with it. The guy that actually trained me, his name is Arnie.
Okay.
He's still here in
Shout out to
Nebraska.
Arnie.
Yeah, thank you, Arnie. So then within 3 months he was like, here's a phone and here's a truck. You get 30% of every call you do. So I was like, wow. So I started making pretty decent money. I think me and Malia, we bought our first house on a land contract at 20 years old.
21.
How many square feet?
It was 1,500 square feet. It was actually a fairly large house in Roanoke.
Craziest thing about that year, it was 2007.
Sure.
We did everything that year. We bought our first house, started our first company. Everything.
Were you guys already
happened.
married at this point? Sorry, I can't do the math.
We got married. Yes,
That year,
was
okay,
the
so
other
yeah,
thing that
everything.
happened.
We literally did
I was
everything.
like,
Yeah.
what else? I know
Yeah.
there was 3 things.
So and that's how I started doing the appliance repair. And then soon after, I started getting appliances, actually. So I started storing them at the house
Sure.
and selling them out of the house. And then Malia didn't like that too much. So
In a 1,500 square foot house, I can
Yeah.
understand why. Yeah.
had-
Weirdos coming to my house all the
every
time.
single day. It was when Craigslist was a big thing.
Sure.
So I would go on there. I'd buy everything off of Craigslist that I could.
Fix it and sell it.
Fix it, sell it,
Yeah.
resell it. And then she was getting tired of that, so I went and found a little appliance shop that I negotiated a month-to-month contract over on Maple Street.
Okay.
They said that was cool, so I got my first building.
What was it called?
We just called it ASAP Appliance.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. All right.
ASAP Appliance Repair, right? Mm-hmm. And that's where we started, and then I started hiring my brothers, sisters, cousins to
Wife.
kind of help, and my wife. She kind of started. Actually, at first, Malia wasn't helping me, and then she seen that I was doing all of this stuff on my notebook. So she kind of like, you can't.
She's like, let me introduce you to things called computers.
Yeah.
I was like, we can't find this stuff.
2001 happened.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So I wasn't
Sure.
very well at technology. So.
You know, and I think that's the thing that we've kind of seen, whether it be spouses or just people that are business partners. And I know we're going to get into this in a minute, but it just seems like there is always that yin to yang, that balance that, you know, there's somebody that does this well, but there's also somebody that can carry the load over here and kind of evens each other out.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Without Malia helping me with that, I wouldn't be able to make it this far as
She
we have.
told you you better say that too, right?
He always says that.
That's the truth. That's
Yeah,
what I always say.
sure.
So after that, we started getting we were selling a lot of appliances, doing appliance repairs.
Were you
And-
surprised with how it took off?
Yeah.
It was a recession.
We
Right,
started
that's
in
the reason,
2007.
because the thing that happens a year later is the housing boom crashes, right,
Yeah.
and all that. So it's a really unique time for a business to be flourishing.
It started taking off fairly quickly. I ran into a gentleman called Rod Cush.
Yeah.
Now he's a friend of mine.
Nice, okay.
Really good. I learned a lot of stuff from him, actually. And he came to me because I was selling him appliances for his show floor.
Oh wow,
So and then he kind of wanted to get out of the appliances, so he offered me another opportunity to actually move into his store, which is on 72nd and L.
yeah,
Which is what is
7-day furniture.
Furniture.
Yeah,
So now it's 7-day furniture. And then that was kind of a little scary for us. You know, it was like 10,000 square feet.
because it was it was just a little intimidating by
It
the
was,
size.
yeah, how big it was, you know, because I was used to this little 1,500 square foot space that I had.
Was there any part of that where you look at it and go, okay, we kind of made it? Like when you look at, because I think a lot of times we associate size with accomplishment, right?
No, I've never honestly looked back or looked at it and said I made it.
Okay.
I'm always looking forward to.
Explains why your phone's ring so many times since you've been here.
I just don't know when to stop. I guess.
Sure. No, I think that's a good problem to have. Malia, for you, when we're talking about the beginnings of this thing and you're watching him write things on notepads and sticky notes and napkins and all of that, at what point, and what does the conversation sound like where you're like, okay, let me help you. How do we do this? Let me probably quit my day job, I'm assuming at the time, right, and do this full time. What did that look like?
We had our third child in 2008, and I was full time up until the day before I had Sophia.
Sure.
And at a meat packing plant. So anyway, I was like, Sean, we can't find invoices like this. I will put it all on a spreadsheet. And when we started the company, the sales, I went in and I put everything on
Re-added everything.
spreadsheets
Sure.
and created the processes. And anytime there was a change, I created a new process. So I was always being proactive in the process part. And
How nervous were you about that? Because I think for a
honestly,
lot of people that are very hands-on, change is very difficult to deal with.
I'm for all change.
Oh, really? Okay.
I'm for change. I wasn't nervous at all. I was like, great, thank you for taking care of that. I can move forward on.
I don't have to
other
search for invoice number
ventures.
64368 underneath my driver's seat anymore. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Wherever the hell that invoice is.
I always explain it like this. Sean is like this tornado making this path of everything, and I'm in the back like cleaning it all up, making
Organized
sure
chaos.
that everything. Yes.
Yeah, sure.
And Sean, he's really good at creating a path, and I'm really good at making sure that I
Loose ends
make
are
it
tied
look
up.
clean.
Yeah, absolutely. So we move into Rod Kush, and we're selling appliances. Where does the plumbing aspect come into it, and at what point does that happen?
So plumbing comes a little after, actually. So what happened is, after all that, I was doing really well. We were growing. I took over not only the 10,000 square foot show floor up front on 7 Day Furniture. I took over like probably another 15,000 square foot of Rod's warehouse himself.
So just expansion all over the
I
place.
had a huge operation from here to South Dakota. I had every Lowe's store. So that's where I would get most of my appliances at. I would get them from Lowe's.
They just something that was
their hallways.
defaulty, or
Well, there was defective ones, or their hallways that people, when they get their new ones, Lowe's hauls away their old ones.
oh, I didn't know that. Okay,
So then they goes back to Lowe's. So
Okay.
I had semi trailers behind every Lowe's from here to South Dakota, and I would have a truck driver, Sam Sortino. He was
shout out to Sam Sortino.
he owns a trucking company, Sortino Trucking. He would bring all of my stuff to Rod's. And I had another warehouse actually at the old Ralston Kino on Main Street.
Yeah.
So I had warehouses. I had a ton of space. I had appliances everywhere, and I just had like a huge assembly line. So that we'd bring them in, we would test these things, and then we would put them out on the show floor.
I can't help but notice there's a theme here. There's a guy that decides to train you on how to fix appliances. There's a friend that owns a warehouse. There's a friend that owns a trucking company. I think when we talk about business, there's always this mindset that it's dog eat dog and it's cutthroat and everybody's out for themselves. Have you been surprised? Because obviously, Malia, you and I met through networking, and I think when I first got into network, I was really surprised with a group of people that were all willing to help without any necessarily like selfishness to it. Have you been surprised through your time as a business owner with how much people are actually willing to help and do the right thing?
Yeah.
Can I answer that?
Go ahead.
So in certain industries, it is very dog eat dog.
Sure.
Like they don't want to help you because you're looked at as competition. But I've seen when you look at really successful people and people that you want to put yourself around, they actually help a lot.
Yeah.
They give you advice. They want to see you grow. So I've been surprised now in our new adventures how much people want to help.
That's incredible. Warren Buffett says the best investment you can make is into people. So I mean, and
Absolutely.
he's made $1 or $2 in his life, so he might know what he's talking.
Always invest in yourself. That's the key thing to being successful, I believe, as well.
So back to the store though, because I think this is important. We get to the point where plumbing gets incorporated. We've got several different locations that we're housing units at. At what point does it become? And maybe it never did. Is there a point where we get to a finished product with ASAP Plumbing?
Appliance? No, honestly, we're always trying to add new sources of income too.
Sure.
So that's where we started adding in a plumbing service.
Mm-hmm.
My uncle Martin, which he was a plumbing inspector at the time.
Sure.
Now he's chief plumbing inspector of Omaha, and he basically brought it to my attention that there's a need for this plumbing service.
Well, it goes a little hand in hand, right? We're talking about washers and stuff. There's
I'm
obviously
already in
the water's
home.
got to get there, right?
Yeah, we're already in the home. We've done a lot of service in Omaha, Council Bluffs as well, and people were asking for other things, so we were able to incorporate that. So we started hiring, licensed master plumber, licensed
Journeyman,
licensed people to help us with that entity. Because I never had a license at all. I've always just hired our guys with the license already.
Sure.
It just sped up the process.
Yeah, and you've obviously are very busy and probably don't have time to put in the legwork either.
So that's how we got into the plumbing industry and started going from there.
We're catching up with Sean and Malia Gomez here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing. So we've got the different locations with appliances. We have the deals with Lowe's. We're doing plumbing at that point. Talk to me about hiring. When we're talking about bringing in, whether it be a master plumber, a journeyman, somebody that just you need to train to go out and fix refrigerators, et cetera, et cetera. Has there, and we've talked about it a little bit with people, was there ever a fear to hire somebody that, because your face is literally on the logo of the company, so it is you and it's your idea, and you guys have entrusted your family into this business to provide. Is there ever a fear of going out and hiring somebody that may not represent the business like you guys think they should?
All right, yeah. So to clarify things, the caricature isn't actually me. It looks like me.
Okay.
But a guy that worked for Dex, his name is Steve. He actually
Shout out to Steve.
Steve, yeah, Steve. He's like, dude, you need some sort of logo. I was like, all right.
Sure.
So he helped me create that, and it kind of looked like me, so we put it on there.
Okay.
But besides that, yes, hiring people is always scary because you invest a lot of money and time in people, and you, in return, you're hoping that they will make you money.
Right.
Because at first, you're not going to make money for the first year or two, depending on what they're training for. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very, and then you got to worry about theft, or your name is on that company. So
Sure.
whatever they do affects you. You're responsible for it.
Yeah.
So, so it is very. At first, we started with all of our family, so it was awesome teaching all of our family new trades.
All positive?
Not everything's positive.
Yeah, all right.
I try to.
I was gonna say you'd be the first person to ever employ family that you're like everything was great in sunshines, but
It was amazing in the aspect that we're able to teach everyone all this stuff
and work with your family.
and then
yeah,
they
absolutely.
still use all those skills and stuff to this day. So
we actually really liked it because we were all very, very close. We got
Sure.
to spend all the days together. Yeah, we had some little
cat fights. Yeah.
Yeah, but
But-
in honesty, it was pretty good.
it was fun. It was fun a lot of times because we spent a lot of hours. I mean, without my family and Malia, there's no way we could have built it as quick as we did.
Well, and there's already a built-in trust there, right?
Yeah,
And
you already
you don't
assume
you
can
don't
trust
mind
them.
cussing out your brother versus Nathan that you just hired yesterday, right?
Exactly, yeah. And then so with that, we hired them, and it's still the same stress. You're or not stress, but worry that you're gonna train these guys, and they might go do their own thing, or they might go work for somebody else.
Sure.
You know, because they don't like how you do things. You know, that's
Right.
always a problem. So
And your brother owns the company now, correct?
yeah. So my brother Shane, Rickard, and Amber, they bought the company from us recently.
Yeah, and so ASAP Plumbing and Appliance, if you're in the need for service repair or plumbing, make sure you get a hold of them. So give them a shameless plug there. But you guys have started a new venture, and you guys are trying to build wealth through real estate and buying, selling, and flipping houses. How did that come about?
It came about is when we were younger, 25-ish, right around there. We bought our first
4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's when we first bought our first piece of real estate.
Sure.
And then after that, that was an apartment building. After that, we've always kind of had a little bit of real estate, but and honestly, real estate has always saved our ass from when the company was, going ups and through its ups and downs.
Which every company does.
growing pains, yeah. So we were able to use real estate to help us at those times. So then once we sold our company, we kind of were like, well, let's go all in real estate and see where this takes us.
Sean was already so I was still running the company, running the, we had a office manager who was amazing.
Yeah.
And, but I still did all the books and made sure everything was still taken care of. And Sean kind of stepped away for about a year before that and started
To focus on real estate.
Yeah, and started focusing on real estate.
And now we have Malia Gomez.exprealty.com scrolling across the bottom of your screen because you're now a real estate agent. How much of that was because of what Sean was doing in the selling of ASAP and now the focus on the flipping of the business? Is that really where that idea came to fruition?
Yeah, so 100% the reason why I got my real estate license is so that I can help buy and sell. We have a really good agent that we were working with, but sometimes with flipping houses and stuff, the money's
somebody
so
quicker.
tight.
Yeah.
You kind of need to hold some of that money so that you can keep going. But
Because there's the cost of the house, the cost of the improvements, the cost
Yeah.
of the labor, etc.
Yeah, anything you could do to keep the money that from the real estate is better, I believe. Like
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
by her
I don't think that's
getting-
just in real estate. I think that's in anything.
anything, exactly.
More
So
money's never a bad
her
problem.
getting her license allowed us to now make money on the buy and on the sell.
Sure.
So now we're actually keeping that money versus just giving it to
I
somebody
mean, it's
else.
essentially the same thing as adding plumbing to the appliance business, right?
Yeah.
It's okay. Instead of going to hire a plumber, we can be the all-encompassing services there. At what point? I mean, because I think everybody looks at the flipping industry, and you look at this house the way it was before, and by the end, it looks great and it's all done. There's a lot of work that goes into it, though, right? You
Oh,
gotta
yeah.
do drywall and flooring and probably plumbing and electrical work to some degree. What is something about flipping houses that when you started, that you know now, that you wish you would have known when you started?
To have multiple contractors, not just to have one or two, just to have.
Sure.
You want a different contractor per se on every project you have.
Really?
'Cause
Why?
now you're not. You're getting. We'll just say, for instance, right now we have about 15 to 20 projects going on right now.
Sure.
So if you're depending on one contractor to do all those, it's not going to happen. You're only going to get one done at a time,
Okay.
maybe two if you're lucky. But now if you have multiple contractors on each,
You can have 15.
you could exactly.
Yeah.
Now what are you doing? You're turning within our average is 3 to 4 months to do a whole full turn on a property.
Is that quick?
It's not as quick as we'd like.
Sure.
But it's
I mean, in the
I think
industry, I guess.
think it's probably an average.
Okay.
That was what I would say. But I don't know everyone else's timelines on theirs.
I know there's at least one. Give me a horror story. Either one of you can give it to me from a flip where
Well,
you're.
shit, we could go with the first one. The apartment building is always the funniest, I believe.
Okay.
So we had this apartment building when we were the younger, right? 25-ish. We hired some guys to cut down a tree. And so it was a guy. The guy was a cool guy.
Guy with a truck and a ladder,
Yeah, I was like,
chainsaw. He could do the job.
no problem. I was like, the price was right, so I was like, let's do it. He shows up.
You know that guy thought he undercharged you too, right? He's like, damn it.
The guy shows up. He's in uniform, vest. He got cones. He's got the whole thing tied off. I'm
I'm
like,
not even sure this guy actually cut trees for a living.
he didn't.
He just
Probably
said
trim
that he
bushes.
could.
There's no way. There's no way.
Yeah.
So soon after, I'm like, all right, he's got this under control. Didn't pay attention too much of it. Then I come back and I have the whole neighborhood at my building.
Always a good sign.
I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? So basically, the guy cut the tree, landed on some fiber optic or power in there, and then I started looking around. This guy is wearing different, like a whole nother company's. Like
Yeah, he's a contractor
yeah,
and
it's a
has
contractor.
multiple vests.
Yeah, he's wearing OPPD's vest and the cones.
Same guy.
Yeah, same guy. I was like, and then he's nowhere to be found soon after.
That's
So I was like,
fantastic.
I'm stuck here talking to all these people.
Yeah, who now don't
Trying
have
to
power.
get this under control, no
Yeah.
power. And then basically we got it all figured out. And surprisingly, I didn't have to pay for a fiber optic line.
Did you have to pay the guy that cut the tree down?
No, he came back for his money, and I was like, you're not getting paid. For
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
I don't blame you.
But he did help out. There was a huge tree. He did get the tree down,
Yeah.
so I was happy about that. But
Well, maybe you guys were just practice for his new business he was starting.
This was on Park Ave, mind you.
Sure.
It was when
it was
they
already
were.
a crazy neighborhood.
Like,
Yeah, the neighborhood was
where in
already-
Park Ave?
1148 Park Ave is the building.
Is that Leavenworth Street then?
Poppleton.
Poppleton, so like 2 or 3
Poppleton and
blocks.
Park Ave,
I grew up in South Omaha, so that's my neck of the
yeah,
woods.
right on the corner. That was the building I had.
Okay. That's actually Leavenworth. I was gonna say the towers, the 2 apartment buildings
No,
that are
so
there.
it was at the time that they were kind of revamping. It was at the beginning stages
Yeah.
that they were revamping Park Ave.
Urban Development and Harvest Development. They were developing.
Right, they just
that
came in.
area.
They put all that money into the Indian projects,
Oh,
and then
yeah.
they
They did an amazing job. That's how I got a lot of inspiration is from
Sure.
those guys. They're
That-
awesome.
my best friend grew up in the Indian projects, and I grew up in that neighborhood. So watching that gentrification happen and just the improvement of that neighborhood was great to see. We move. So you get this horror story out of the way. You're crazy enough to invest in another property after something like this happens. When we talk about being landlords, being investment property owners, and selling, what are some of the benefits to being a landlord? What are some of the setbacks?
Benefit I would say is giving people nice homes to live in.
Is that a big deal for you?
Yeah. When we grew up, we didn't.
You guys don't
have-
come off to me as somebody that would be slumlords, but there are those people out there, obviously,
Yeah,
that
no.
don't care because they don't have to live in the property.
Exactly. We try to do our best because obviously you're on a budget.
Sure.
So we try to do our best, and we try to provide great service.
Mm-hmm.
That's a key thing I believe in the rental industry.
What about some of the negatives? Like obviously you've got people that don't pay on time sometimes because obviously everybody has hardships at times. How do you handle that, Emily? How do you guys handle that aspect where it's okay? We have to have a hard conversation here with somebody that may be 1-2 months late.
Well, we did have we have a property manager now
Okay.
that works in house.
Sure.
And she's great. She takes care of all that stuff.
What's her name?
Felicia.
Shout out to
She's my
Felicia.
sister.
Okay.
And so Sean at one point he had we had two people in two different houses, and at the same time, they weren't paying their rent.
Sure.
They both racked up bills of $6,000 each. And Sean was like, "They'll pay because he's got such a great heart of gold." And I'm like,
that was a dirty look.
And I'm like, they're not paying.
Sure,
Like, we need to do something now.
Yeah.
And so we had to evict them, which
Yeah.
is sad
Sure.
because you never want to.
But it is a business at the end of the day, and
It is.
and they know, you know.
Yeah, they know.
Yeah.
They know
Yeah.
what they're doing, and
Yeah.
you just feel bad. So I just try to help them out because
Yeah,
they're
for
telling
sure.
me and all these
Because
stories and
the
stuff.
the win-win scenario is there, you're right, and then you end up getting your money, and you don't have to kick somebody out, right? So
Yeah.
it's one of those things that sometimes maybe the juice is worth the squeeze. What? And we're catching up with Sean and Malia Gomez here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast. When we brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing, we talk about the end goal. You guys like to travel. You guys have 437 children now. when we talk about retirement or what you want this business to look like when you decide to walk away from, what does that look like?
I would like to be able to travel, but still be able to work remotely and have people working on projects and stuff. I don't think that retirement for us is not working.
Sure.
Because we
I say
like
that all the
what
time,
we
by
do.
the way. Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you know, when you like what you do, you don't see it as work. It's really a project. It's really a challenge. You know what I mean? So it's not like we're working every day.
Right.
No,
it's just
yeah.
what you do.
It's
Yeah.
just what we do, and we enjoy it. Yeah, you have your ups and your downs, but overall, as long as you're doing what you like and love, it's not working.
You guys do have 6 kids. How much do the kids know what mom and dad do, and how much do they have an appreciation for it?
Appreciation? I'm not
Appreciation?
sure they don't have.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
I don't think they
Most kids don't.
understand.
Yeah.
But they're very. They see all that we do. They go through it all with us.
Yeah.
So they get to see what we do. They ask a lot of questions, which we like because they're kind of trying to get an understanding of what we do.
This reminded me, last time I saw you guys was at the Jeep rally. And Sophia was with you guys. You had to take a phone call, and she goes, "He never stops answering the phone."
Yeah.
If somebody is considering getting into house flipping or becoming a real estate agent, what's a piece of advice you would give to somebody that is considering making that leap and changing what they do?
Getting into real estate or anything, and I would just say, obviously do your research, but
Sure.
do it. Just do it.
Yeah.
I think for that, everybody has their own niche. Like, everybody has their own reasons. I think knowing your reason or knowing what you're looking for out of real estate. So some people, like I have some friends that they look for the depreciation to offset some of their taxes.
Taxes, sure.
Everything that we do has to cash flow. We never look at a project that doesn't cash flow. We actually have a pretty extravagant.
Can you give us the benefits of the two, of cash flow versus
Yeah.
depreciation write-off?
It really just depends on, like, if you make a lot of money and you're paying a lot in taxes, then you can buy a property, not spend that in cash. You have your taxes, your mortgage, and stuff like that.
Right.
But if you're paying, let's say it's $2,000 a month, and that's $24,000 a year, you might actually be able to offset some of your
Sure.
taxes that you have to pay in.
And then cash flow basically just subsidizes your income and makes it what you do for a living. Sure.
We always want to cash flow because even when we cash flow, we still have a write-off that offsets.
It can
that.
be counted towards it. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So our Excel file that we have, which a guy named Ken helped us.
Shout out to Ken.
Ken is
Yeah.
Ken honestly is like.
He was introduced to us by, like, I used to work at William H. Harvey, but John
Yeah.
Harvey.
Oh,
So
okay.
John Harvey introduced us, Ken is his old CFO.
and COO.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it all kind of like, it's just
Full
weird.
circle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The journey.
That's
the,
Omaha,
Ken
man.
Yeah,
is
It's
really
so
my
small.
inspiration.
Okay.
Ken is.
He's a very smart guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
We still use Ken today.
I have to ask because I think I'd be remiss if I didn't. You mentioned multiple contractors. Does that include painters?
That's everybody.
Oh, okay.
We
Just-
every
somebody might feel some type of way that's listening to this. That's the only reason.
Yeah, we have
Shout out to Marcos and
Marcos and Steph. They painted our personal house.
Sure.
Actually.
Yeah.
So, and that's the other thing too. You would love to use everybody that
Yeah.
you know, but everyone has what they have to charge. So not everybody
Yeah.
could charge.
I just wanted to give a free plug to Modern Painting.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. So but that goes back to the contractors, though. You
Yeah.
would love to use everybody in the
Sure.
contracting world,
but not everybody has 100 employees under their belt
exactly.
either.
So
Sure.
everyone's overhead is different. So you got to make it work how you do.
You guys, Omaha, Council Bluffs, you live down in Beaver Lake now. What are some of the, like, what does it mean to you guys to be able to do business in your hometown, the area you grew up in, and be a great representative of your community?
For me, for Council Bluffs, I know Council Bluffs areas.
Sure.
So sometimes if you don't know the area, Council Bluffs you got little pockets that are really, really good, but they're right
It's not just Broadway.
Yeah, it's not, and it could be right next to a area that's not so good. So it's like knowing that, like,
Where the cutoff
it may
is.
just be across the street.
Sure.
And knowing that for me is huge because I can say, okay, this we'll talk about ARV, which is after repair value.
Okay.
So when we go into a house,
It's essentially what it's assessed at, correct?
not what it's assessed at because the assessors don't always assess it
Correctly.
for what it could sell for.
Gotcha.
That will be what it could sell for after the repairs are done.
Sure.
So we could go into a house and we say, okay, this house is the ARV is going to be such and such. How much is it going to take us to get there? How much money is it going to take to hold that
And is it worth
property?
it, essentially, correct?
Yeah. And how much money do we want to make on that property? So we work backwards. So we got ARV minus our repair costs, minus our holding costs, minus our how much we want to make.
Sure.
And then that's what we can offer on it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, as far as them taking our offer. One thing that a lot of people don't consider when flipping is holding costs. They don't.
While it's just sitting there.
Yeah, they don't.
Utilities, taxes, insurance.
Yeah, and
Everything.
1 month of it sitting longer than what you want it to or expected it to.
A couple $1,000s.
Well, especially on
cost you your
could be more
profit.
depending on the price of the house. Like,
Sure.
Yeah.
So what
Yeah, I guess
brings
the taxes, that's a good point, yeah.
But like you said, getting into real estate and in your hometown and stuff,
Yeah.
I like it a lot because I'm just driving around the old neighborhoods that I used to live in, and we own like houses everywhere.
Sure.
So it's cool to be like, hey, that's our house.
Do you have this may be a weird question. Do you have like a number where you're like, we'd like to own X amount of properties?
We want our goal at first is 100 doors.
Okay.
That's kind of, but I think that's gonna be
We're-
very easy to
We're at like
surpass. So.
60 right now.
Sure.
So-
Like, people often ask me, what do you want to do in radio? Like what's the end goal? And for me, like that changes almost every year. Is that the same for you guys?
Yeah, it's
absolutely.
you never know when you're gonna find a deal. So
Do you remember when 100 doors seemed impossible?
Yeah.
it
It
was-
was like almost like when I first started the company. Like, how
Sure.
do people make that much money?
Yeah.
But getting around the right people, getting like the guy once told me, you need to have a CPA, you need to have a lawyer, and you need to have a banker.
Yeah.
Any business you do, those are the three things I would definitely recommend. You get those, and then you start hanging around people that are doing what you would like to do. Then anything is possible.
Yeah, one of the things that when we were at ASAP, when we owned ASAP, we never had a banking relationship. It wasn't until
that weird?
Yeah, it's very weird because we always used our own money. We never
Sure.
knew about.
Yeah.
we didn't know. And
I think it's really hard for some people because I struggled with this in the first couple of years of having the show is to differentiate. Okay, this is the business's money. This is our money.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, especially when you have worked a 9 to 5 for so long, it's like, oh, there's a paycheck every 2 weeks. Why'd that stop? Oh yeah, I'm not going to work anymore. And I think that's a big struggle for a lot of people that are new in business.
Yeah, and a good thing to do to help that when you start a business, you want to call a company called Another Perspective, which is Malia. So what Malia that's another company that she created, which helps small businesses get like your foundation created. So then from there, you will be ready to go talk to banks when you are ready.
All right.
When you need it.
There's a little peek behind the curtain here. I asked you when we started this what website you wanted me to put at the bottom. Why didn't we throw that up there? What is it? Another perspective?
because it's kind of a newer thing. My passion is to help small businesses.
Okay.
I love to see people prosper in business, and I want to be able to help them. It's called Another Perspective.
Is there a website?
Not yet.
Okay, that's
So
a good reason why you guys didn't give me a
Yeah,
website.
right now I'm working with about 3 clients, and my goal is really just to show them where to cut cost, because a lot of times you need another perspective.
Sure.
To look
Where did that motivation come from?
ASAP. So
Sure.
I help. A lot of times I would help some of our friends and family members who own companies. They would come to ask me like, "Hey,
How the
what
hell do you
how
do
do
this?"
you do this?"
Yeah, she's
And
very good at it.
I would teach them, you know, how to. I'm self-taught. Besides Ken, who helped me learn accounting.
Yeah.
So I wanted to share the knowledge, and I never had anybody except for Ken to help me do that. And I hired Ken. So I always wanted to help people
Right.
do that. Ken is really a huge inspiration.
We've given a lot of shout outs today.
There's more.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is there anybody behind ASAP Plumbing or behind what the flips you guys are doing now
there's
that
just a
deserve
lot
credit?
of people on your journey through this. That's what it's all about, really.
It really
When
is.
you get to the goal, it's boring, I think. So that's why I keep
There's nothing to
going.
chase.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
nothing. So it's the thing is the journey and just being nice to all the people on the way up.
Where's the next vacation?
The next vacation, we want to take the kids to. We were thinking maybe up north or probably on the West Coast.
What's your favorite vacation you've gone on so far?
So far, it's been, I would say,
California was mine. We took a 2-week trip for our anniversary, and we flew into San Francisco and drove mile 1 all the way down to San Diego.
Out of the city? Okay, because I went to San
Yeah.
Francisco and I hated it, but I think a lot of it's because
it's
I was
interesting.
Oh my
in
God.
the city the whole
Yeah,
time.
the
I
city
was
is
like-
And it was for work.
It's
so.
a very interesting place, though. The way the architectural is.
And built up into the
Yeah,
hills.
the
Yeah,
people-
it's beautiful.
It's crazy.
I had a couple bad experiences.
Yeah, there's
I'm not
definitely-
here to poo poo on San Francisco, but
yeah,
it wasn't great.
It's a cool place to just see. You know, I don't know about living there, but definitely
Guys,
go see.
we're way over the mark, but this conversation was great today, and I greatly appreciate it. Is there anything about what you guys do that people should know, or if somebody wants to get a hold of you and talk to you about real estate, is there somewhere they can do that at?
Yeah, so you can contact me on my social media on Facebook. You can contact me at Malia Gomez or
The website at
he's
the
got
bottom,
it.
they can get a hold of you too. Right?
Yeah.
So it's scrolling across the
There.
bottom, leahgomez.exprealty.com. I greatly appreciate this, guys. Thank
Yeah,
you
thank
very
you.
much. We'll be back tomorrow at 11 o'clock talking about more entrepreneurship, more businesses, and people that are making an impact here in the community on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing.